very recently, at the time of recording this, there's been this huge rise in a certain type of video of like these guys making fun of the fact that they're performative guys, right? They'll be wearing a tote bag, they'll be drinking some matcha, and they're like, the whole joke of the video is like, oh, I get it, I'm the stereotypical, male manipulator-esque guy, or like, I'm the guy, like, I'm your ex that you think is so bad, or like, and they're poking fun at it, right? They're trying to show like, I'm self-aware, look at my self-deprecating humor. These videos piss me off, you can't tell already. These videos make me very mad. All videos like this make me very mad. This is a constant thing that gets like reincarnated every little while, right? Of being like, look at me, it always starts in a vein of like kind of fun, kind of poking fun at a certain trend or a certain archetype, right? And then I think sort of what happens, right, is there's a group of people that starts making fun of these people, and the people in that group that are getting made fun of feel a need to defend against it, so they're like, look at me, like, I get it, I suck, I'm goofy, or whatever, right? I find these videos annoying because it feels deeply inauthentic to me. It almost feels like the performatism of the internet, the performative nature of the way that we do things on social media gets like coagulated into this self-deprecating humor that the people don't want to be doing, right? I think that's the interesting part about this. That's the part that got me thinking about this whole thing, this constant incarnation of this archetype, right? Of whatever the thing is that's getting made fun of. Sometimes it's like, oh, I feel like back in like 2020, it was like, I'm a Visco girl, isn't this, like I'm, I know I'm annoying, right? Now it's like the performative guy. It always switches between like some sort of thing, some sort of like thinly veiled internet subculture that's like sort of interesting, right? And I think one of the things that also this points to is like nothing has the time to develop anymore, right? Like you can't parody something right when it's made, when it's happening in front of you, right? Like when a subculture is sort of coming out and it's organic, right? Maybe it's like an underground scene somewhere or whatever it may be. You can't really make fun of it right away because it's still developing in front of you and you're not going to get tired of it right away. On the internet, the way it works is like when you're like Visco Girl was like, okay, you see the first 3 Visco Girl memes, maybe you laugh at them, maybe you like them. For the next week, it's shoved in your face and then you're annoyed about it, so you go make fun of it, right? Whereas I've always wondered, like, is there a route in which in, let's say, 1980, the stereotype of a Visco girl or a performative male developed as a culture, would it eventually spiral off, not just from being like, there's a set of people out there that kind of dress like this and do this thing, let's make fun of them, but eventually spiral into its own genuine sense of culture, right? I don't know for sure. I don't know if that's how that would happen, but I think it's an interesting conversation nonetheless. The thing that always annoys me about these videos, though, is like it's almost to me an admittance of like I've let the internet get to me and stop me from being myself, right? And of course I'm projecting onto these, by the way. I'm assuming that these people don't want to be making those videos. There's probably a great quantity of people making them that do genuinely just think, oh, it's funny. Like, I think this is a funny joke I'm in on, right? But oftentimes I think the self-deprecating nature of the internet is not very much something people want to be participating in, right? There's this weird code on the internet where it's like, I gotta display that I'm just self-aware enough to not get made fun of right now, while also being just earnest enough to attract the people that like me. I do this all the time, by the way. I'm no better than this. I would never stoop so low as making a video of being like, I'm X type of guy, and I think that's annoying because I think that's almost I think it's being inauthentic, right? There's a way to be self-aware and authentic at the same time, and when you start making fun of yourself in this way that's like, oh no, I get why everybody's making fun of me. I am the worst. That's when it starts, I think, becoming inauthentic, right? And this is where I wonder, the heart of this conversation, the internet is inherently performative at this point, right? Like, you gotta be. There's an argument in which aesthetics have kind of taken over and are everything now. For example, am I really doing painting and talking, or am I merely, with the color grading in these videos, selling the image of something that's a little bit more curated and a careful conversation, If there was no jazz music behind me when I speak, would this have the same feeling at all? And would it be watched in the same light? That's how a ton of things work now. And this is fine. I think there's been many think pieces done by people over the years about how, like, this is the end of culture as a whole. I don't think it's the end of culture. I think it's culture taking a new form. I think there's almost something honest about this performatism too, right? Where, like, the phrase "fake it till you make it" has been a thing forever. And it almost seems now like we've just been able to take it to its natural conclusion, where we're all faking it till we make it, right? Whether you are a commenter who is faking that you like things until you like them, as often happens with many things, where it's like, oh, I hate this song. 100 TikToks later, this is my favorite song now. 100 TikToks after that, I hate this song again. We're all being melded and everything's changing. We're all deeply self-aware of the way we're perceived, the way that people who dress like us are perceived. This is just the way things are now, right? There's commentary to be made on it, and many people have done a great job at it. We've touched on it in this series in the past, but overall, I'm just gonna say this is fine. Like, I don't really care about people being performative, because I feel like it's the name of the game now. You gotta do it to an extent. And I think also that within, like, of course, yes, there's a huge amount of these people that will be performative for the next year, on the internet, maybe amass a following slightly, and then disappear because it was never really them, and they were just kind of doing a thing because it was cool or whatever, and they're gonna go away. There's also going to be, though, within those 100 people who are being performative, like 5 or 6 who end up deeply being able to resonate some substance. That's my goal eventually. I find myself to do what I'm doing here to be somewhat performative. I hope, though, in the coming years, I continue doing what I do. It can have a great amount of substance. It can be super substantive, right? So I think this is fine, but I think the problem to me is when the performative nature of things starts not becoming a bug, but a feature, right? Like, people are doing things because, and being a little bit performative about them, which we've established, don't care, right? Cool. And it's like they're doing the whole thing, and the performative nature of it's only a little bit part of it, right? For an example, this right here, I know I keep talking about this, but it's just easy because I'm literally in the middle of recording it, right? The nature of this is mostly very authentic, right? I come here, I'm just interested in talking about this. It's usually something I saw, usually something I was actually just thinking about that day, and I talk about it to you all. That's pretty much it. I paint whatever is on my mind. I don't come in with specific painting. These paintings are only as planned as the colors I know are on this palette that are not dry yet and I can use, and that's pretty much it. But there's also the inherently performative nature of the fact that I set up all these cameras and hit record on them, that I set up this mic, that I'm gonna spend an hour editing this after this. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that I'm the one doing all this inherently makes it like a little bit more manufactured than it maybe would be if it was like, just I was just doing this in my room alone with no cameras, right? There's the slightly performative nature of the fact that I'm going to say that at the end of this video that I recorded it the next day after the last one, but I had to record ahead because I'm going to be busy the next day, right? Like, there's these small things that are always going to be performative. But I think, and this is just the way I look at it, that the goal is not so much to be like, I'm not performative at all, because that's kind of the name of the game. You have to be, right? There's no way I could make this happen without setting up my own cameras, without pre-recording every now and again. Some days I do just genuinely wear the same thing twice in a row. Should get that out there. But sometimes, I got to pre-record or whatever. It just, as the goal, though, is to keep at its core the authenticness, right? Keep it raw. I'm just here talking to you all. I'm not going to cut out anything. I'm not going to just doing this. Painting's what it is. Painting's what it is. No, painting is what it ends up being. And that's fine. You sprinkle on the little performative nature of the cameras and the editing and the recording ahead, but those are just bugs. They're not features. Eventually, though, the performativeness takes over and it becomes more about the external elements than the authentic core of the thing. And that's what I feel happens with this whole thing of I'm making fun of myself and I'm in on this joke that I'm not really in on. That's what I think happens. Rather than being like, this is who I am, and sprinkling a little bit of self-awareness, a little bit of irony, and a little bit of performance on top, you're basically just being like, I am ironic, I'm a one-note thing, and the authenticity feels like it's trying to even be hidden by the irony, you know? You can't make fun of me because this happens all the time. Especially, it'll be like, I have this crazy political opinion. I'm just joking though. Because people are like, it's ironic, you can't come at me. You can't come at me as long as I'm joking. Because they don't wanna, they don't wanna risk taking the mask off and letting people talk to the real them, right? That's what I feel happens when you let the performatism become the authenticity in itself. All your whole substance becomes the fact that you're performing rather than the other way around, right? That's my 2 cents there. I feel like I got very heated during that, so my apologies if this was a little bit more passionate than I originally intended it to be. This is the painting. Tried something new today, by the way, where there's still only 3 colors, but I organized them in a way where this is split up and these 2 are there. And honestly, I think it allows these colors to express themselves way more. I think that it allows, rather than it just being through a color palette, almost an image. And I like that. I like this a lot. I'm gonna keep going in this path. I believe there's probably going to be 1 more painting in this color palette because I mixed the right amount this time. I didn't overmix. So no 6 paintings, no 8 like that one time. Sorry about that again. That was like a week of paintings. You guys must have been extremely upset with me. But yeah, no, I like this. I like the direction too. Maybe it's not so much about just what the colors are, but also how I use them is probably a big part of it. I feel like probably Google could have told me that though. That feels like a fairly obvious observation. Either way, go check this out over on the Instagram. Let me know, what are your thoughts about this whole conversation? I feel like I'm gonna have a really tough time naming this video because this was a fairly abstract topic. It kind of vapid, it didn't really have a body or a central point that I can name it after. I don't know, that's a problem for me tomorrow morning, because that's when I'll edit this. And that is when I have to deal with all the problems that me tonight, that's a me in the morning problem, not a me in the night problem. Until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Tice. This is Paint Talk episode 196. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all. Sometimes doing too much talking.